lot of the people that work in art handling do come from an art background. I would say up to 80% of the team have actually been to art school or practiced art or are practicing artists. I think that helps because that helps you to empathise in this particular role. I have to think about the process, breaking it into stages, because once you break it into stages, you think, right, who needs to be involved, how many people, what equipment, what time. Sometimes you can have 2 or 3 disciplines all working together. It feels like I'm a conductor and there's the orchestra and I'm bringing in the wind section and then I bring in the strings and then bring it all together. But sometimes I can then join the orchestra and someone else can be the conductor. So it's that kind of collaborative process. With the new restrictions that COVID brings, we had to think about how we protect ourselves and give ourselves the best chance of working safely.
A conservator's role is to preserve and treat artworks in the collection and ensure that they can continue to be displayed for a very long time. There are many different types of conservators. So there's paintings and frames conservators, paper and photograph conservators, sculpture conservators, those who look at preventive conservation, but I'm a time-based media conservator. I look at digital video, analog video, film, software-based artworks, and web-based artworks. When we heard that the museum was closing due to coronavirus, then all of the conservation team went into the galleries to prep all of them for the shutdown. And in terms of time-based media, we also shut down all of the projectors to make sure that we didn't have a power surge. Tate's collection is part of all of our history, and it's really important to be able to preserve these artworks for many years to come. When we learned that the museum would be reopening, we went through all of the time-based media artworks on display and looked at artworks that had headphones or other elements that required you to interact with them, and tried to find solutions for how you could still experience the artwork, but also still maintain social distancing. For future exhibitions, we're actually reimagining the way that people move through the space and how we do the museum layout as well.
Preventive conservation is focused on minimising, identifying and preventing risks to our collection. We want to check that an artwork is in good health. Back in March, when the coronavirus pandemic was still in its early days, it became apparent that we were going to be working from home. This is a massive change. We've been very lucky that we have got Wi-Fi enabled environmental loggers. So from that, even from our homes, we were able to keep an eye on conditions in the gallery. In today's coronavirus world, quarantine is something that is a daily topic of conversation, but it's something that we've been doing as best practice in our pest management for a long, long time, in a very similar way to the way that we want to stop coronavirus spreading from country to country. We also have pests that we don't want to spread from store to store.
Tate has a very large lending programme, so we lend works of art from Tate's collection to other venues and institutions, both nationally within the UK and also internationally across the globe. A collection registrar at Tate, we manage outgoing loans to other institutions. When works are lent from the collection, we work with the fine art agents to organise the transport, and we also work with the venue to organise the details of the display, the insurance and all the facilities at the venue. This afternoon we'll be receiving a artwork that's coming back from loan. The work was actually sent out on loan before the lockdown and was on display at the venue for a period of time. Obviously then when lockdown happened we had to discuss with the venue what their plans were, and their preference was to extend the exhibition. We were able to agree for the work to stay for a longer period of time, so now we're arranging for it to come back. And when it arrives at Tate, we unpack the work, we then condition check it, and it goes back into storage.
The core store houses our photographic collection, and so any photography that's requested to be viewed in the prints and drawings rooms has to be retrieved ahead of the visit to allow for enough time for the photographs to acclimatise. The majority of Tate's collection is actually held in the prints and drawing rooms. That includes 30,000 Turner works on paper, as well as modern prints, historic prints and photographs. In all honesty, it's the same level of calm. I think the prints and drawings rooms are very welcoming and are very much a space where visitors can feel very comfortable and view works in a much more intimate setting. We've put in all the measures in place to ensure that the staff and the visitors are safe throughout the duration of their visit, and that includes social distancing and measures such as setting up the room in advance rather than us setting them up whilst the visitor is here. Anyone who wants to view works in the prints and drawing rooms are welcome to visit.
Our archive, because it's an artist's archive, an art institutional archive with lots and lots of visual material is comprised in our collections. So we have a lot of preparatory sketches, maquettes for sculpture, sketchbooks, many sketchbooks. It's been quite difficult for both the public and staff actually, but that's not to say that we couldn't help them remotely. This isn't the first time that Tate's been closed, interestingly. The Tate was closed during both wars, and actually this site was firebombed during the Second World War. Fortunately, all the paintings have been removed and they were stored in various stately homes around the country, and at one time in Piccadilly Underground. We still have the key for the door. I don't know where the door is, but that's where the paintings were stored.
Despite the restrictions, I can still see the smiles, I can still see the joy. I think the fact that they can still see the art and still enjoy that initial experience of seeing a favourite painting, some sculpture, or a video, or photography, and just being around that environment still inspires.
I think with coronavirus, not only are we continuing to care for the collection, but we're paying extra attention and detail to caring for each other. We're collaborating to ensure that we can continue to work together in a safer way.